Hi, and welcome to Art Salon. I'm Ellie Shore. Art salons have been going on for 4.5 years now, which is amazing to me. And I really make it my almost full-time job to be at art shows all over South Florida and really look at who's exciting, who's intriguing, who's doing stuff that is unique and that has a message in some way. That's important to me. And somewhere along the way, I met Allison Kotzig, and she fits that bill completely. She is intriguing. And I've watched her work grow and expand, and she experiments, and she's gotten more ambitious in the kinds of things that she does. And there's all kinds of messages going on in the work. It started out, in my experience, with a very feminist kind of orientation, a very female kind of orientation, and then it became forests and mystery and large installations and all kinds of materials that she uses, and I just get more and more interested. And my main criteria in choosing someone to talk at Art Salon is they have a story that I want to know more about. So this is Allison Kotzig, and she's going to answer all of our questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, Ellie. Hi, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. Just put my glasses on. My presentation is called Mysteries of the Forest. I like to talk about themes in my work because, as Ellie was saying, I tend to work across a variety of media, and people can get confused about my message, which to me is very clear but is not so obvious to many people. So what I like to talk about with the forest and with the Ouroboros is my theme of spirits and feminine power and infinity. So this is the initial piece that started my sort of obsession with the idea of Ouroboros, which is, of course, the snake that eats its tail, talking about infinity, the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. This was a bone I found in the forest in Slovakia, where I live. It was just laying in the woods, and I picked it up. It's architecturally very beautiful. And when you look at it, you think maybe about death because it's a bone, but it's a pelvic bone. So to me, instead of meaning death, it's really about rebirth. And it absolutely discusses infinity to me, and which is why I placed the fertility doll inside there. Here it is from the side, the original piece. You can see the bone, the moss was on it. That's exactly like I found it. It sits in the box. I mean, the red is the color of blood, of life, of passion. And I did a series also of 4 smaller panels. I turned the bone around so that you could more see this shape of the infinity, as you see the infinity sign in the hollows of the bone. And there again we see the fertility doll. Here we have it with a nest. The nest is something I like to talk about in my work. It is a very sacred place. It is from found material. It didn't exist until someone created it from bits that they found. They wove this special place. In this place, birth takes place, the raising of children takes place, the generative act takes place, and that's both physically and conceptually to me. Here is with a vagina. I did a lot of work with vaginas in my early work. The vagina now is sort of turned into the bone, so I do less work with actual vaginas. This is part of the same theme of the power of a woman's biology and how women are oppressed through their biology. This is a piece talking about the medicalization of fertility. So I had a broken bone, I wired it together, and I showed it with a pill bottle full of fertility medicines. This is another piece called Dark Ouroboros, obviously the very same theme. It's a video installation I showed recently at Jean-Luc Art in Monaco. This is a piece that talks about time travel and dimensional travel to me, which is something I'm very interested in. So we have the Paleolithic age where you see the fertility doll there, and then on the other side you have a video installation. So you're traveling from the Paleolithic to the video age all in one manner. Here's a close-up of the one piece with the diptych. The fur I wrapped around the bone to talk about not only decay, but also to root the concept of the Ouroboros in more of a physical way. So when you see the fur, you think about the earth. what happens is the moon travels across the sea and then the moon becomes doubled. And when the moon becomes doubled, I was really talking about the passage of time and the passage of centuries as you stare at the same moment. This is the video. The sea, of course, is the womb of the earth. This was pretty amazing. I hung this work, and next to me was a famous Cuban painter, Lorenzo Padilla. Maybe some people are familiar with his work. This is his adorable grandson, but his other ancestors were the original finders of this particular Venus, and they had, yeah, it was incredible, and he went crazy when he saw the work, and I guess his great-grandfather had dug up the original Venus, this Lapugue Venus, and so he was pretty hysterical, actually. He was really cute, yeah. He invited me to show with him in France. He's organizing an exhibition honoring his family and honoring that archaeological digs that will be coming up at some point. This is another instance of a nest in my work, as well with the Ouroboros, which I placed inside the nest. So as I was talking about before, how the Ouroboros is inside the nest where it's generated and birth happens. This material is a really special material. It's found recycled material. It is baler twine, which is what they use to tie up the hay for the horses. I found it in the stables in Slovakia, and they just had mountains of this stuff, and they were just throwing it out. And I started to collect it, and people stopped talking to me at the barn, actually, because I was so weird just dragging this stuff out of the trash all the time, but that's okay. So I ended up weaving this beautiful nest, and as I was weaving it, I was really listening to so much beautiful music about rivers, like Smetana's music, and you can see, like, as I wove, different currents going through. So it's the currents of the ocean, the currents of emotion, and so that's what that piece is about. I made a lot of work with this material. Here it is outside. It's essentially plastic, so it's great for outside. I'm working on a series of more colors of nests and cocoons, and they can be suspended from trees, or they can be also in the gallery. Here it is at Art Palm Beach for Art Synergy. You guys may recognize it. That's my video, Irreversible Forest, inside the nest. And the nest is actually in the video of Irreversible Forest, so it's sort of a meta discussion of infinity on that loop there. This is the same material. This is a sculpture called Death Mask of the Fertile Crone. And again, we see the baler twine, but the hair sort of just flows out at you. And it's quite terrifying when you see it in person. It's very powerful. And I feel that when people see long hair and they see something about death or age, they become frightened because it is a sign of fertility. So the hair is a sign of fertility, but when you see it with a bone, you're like, are they still alive after death? I don't know, it becomes scary. So I have the Venus inside there. She's protected by the hair, she's protected by the bone, even though that she's the actual progenitor of the life herself. Another installation I did recently at Fat Village Projects is this piece called Forest Landing. This is a large-scale installation, about 100 square feet. I was talking about kind of climate change a little bit and interdimensional travel. This is envisioned as a tree that has gathered her root ball and all the soil and launched herself off the planet. She is left, she is not interested in what's happening on this planet anymore, and she is flying through space. And you can enter through a curtain there into an interior space. I worked with another artist, Leo Castaneda. He does very interesting work with virtual reality, and you can see how the beauty of the branch sort of speaks to his images, his virtual reality images there. Once you entered the space, it was completely white, and this is a part where I was talking about time travel and time dimension, because we had rigged a security camera up. The security camera filmed the people when they entered the installation and then played it back and projected it in a 5-second delay so that you could interact with your own immediate past as well as the past of the people who were around you. So you could really do a dance with your own immediate past or your own immediate shadow. And that little, that's a space motorcycle that he designed, Leo Castaneda. He sat on it and you could look into the virtual reality and examine the universe. And we were thinking that it was like this space motorcycle saw this tree flying through space, it landed in that dimension, and then you don't really know what happened at that point, but it landed there, and that's where you end up. Here is what the Earth used to look like in the video. That's my irreversible forest, and what the Earth looked like now, or what it looks like inside this dimension. It's very white, it's very spare, very pure. And I had a video of a fog projection playing against the back also to create a little bit of mystery and confusion in the viewer. I like to talk also about process, because a lot of people ask me about my process, and especially with installations, it's so labor intensive, and you're just kind of roaming around the streets looking for branches and things. Actually, I met Tim Carter, who works at Old School Square, the Cornell Museum. We were both rummaging through a branch pile on the side of the road, and that's how we met. But that's where I found a lot of these branches. I ended up sort of just painting them in the yard, and here I am posing with my trophies there. Building the space to create the installation. And also I like to think about how grateful I am, because so many people help you when you make an installation. So you can't work alone when you're making installations. The curators are there helping you. That's the curator, Peter Simmons, or co-curator of Fat Village Projects, along with Leo helping me suspend the tree for the installation. This is another totally different installation. This is more of my social practice work. I work a lot in social justice, and this is a piece that is similar to me because of the themes of the societal oppression of women. What I did is I wanted to address the enormity of the oppression of women that is unmentioned in society and how it just goes unnoticed. And that's why I made it a large wall. I'm trying to do a room-size installation with video and sound where it becomes completely enveloping. But this was my first one at Boynton Beach Art District, actually. That was really nice. And it's 12 by 12 cardboard panels. I cut up newspapers, and I used my little dog helping me. I used financial papers for the background, and I glued them onto the cardboard, and the financial papers were talking about how it's business as usual. And then I cut headlines out about rape, about gender oppression, violence against women, against trans people, and about sexual harassment at work, and things like this. And then I glued those onto the background, but I didn't demarc them between the background and themselves. And this is, I think, is an important point talking about the paradigm of oppression, is that you're not supposed to notice it happening. So I made it just all blend together, even though when you read the headlines, they're extremely shocking and upsetting. So when you see the whole wall, it's pretty powerful. So, and I also added this child's school desk, because I feel like it's called girls' school, so this is the education you receive, even though you don't know you're receiving it. And also, we educate others when we accept this sort of education on ourselves and promote it amongst other people. And so that's why I use the desk there. You can learn at the desk, or you can reject your lessons at the desk. It's up to you. This is a piece, another social justice piece I'm involved with. I'm a co-founder of Artists for Black Lives Matter, which is a South Florida-based collective creating spaces for people to express themselves around the ideas of Black Lives Matter. And so I use the same aesthetic. It's cardboard panels, 12 by 12, but in this particular one, we put out an art call so people could send in work how they felt about Black Lives Matter. We got work from all over the world. It was from Greece, Paris, Slovakia, Austria, as well as the whole United States, and lots of people from West Palm Beach. Rolando has 5 pieces, actually, you can see them there. I love the blue ones. He made some gorgeous pieces, and a lot of West Palm Beach artists made pieces. And so we've showed this 4 times. It's currently up at the projects right now, and we're doing an artist talk about it on Friday, and a workshop where we're going to try to work with some people who maybe feel like they want to express something, and then they can make a panel, and then the panel will be included in the next exhibition. So going back to the forest now, we have this piece. This is one of my favorite installations. This was, obviously you've seen the sculpture before, the death mask of the fertile crone. I put the nest sculpture inside there, and this whole piece is called Forest Spirit Rising. And also we have, like, if you see the branches, you can see I'm talking again about the time travel, because the branches represent to me the Paleolithic area where people were there with fire. And then I've projected a video called Moving Forest over the entirety of the piece. So you again are traveling from the Paleolithic to the video age. This piece is a little strange because I was driving through the Carpathian Forest one night with my friend. It was Nora Blazkowicz from Irreversible magazine. We were coming back from Bratislava, and it was about 3 o'clock in the morning in the literal middle of nowhere in a forest road, and all of a sudden we see a woman standing by the side of the road. So I stopped the car thinking maybe she needs some help. But when we looked at her, she had long black hair all the way to the floor, and her face was white like paper. And so we sort of looked at each other and we became frightened and quickly drove away. Actually, we didn't even roll down the window. I mean, I don't know if I was right or wrong, but it was pretty scary. It was late. And, but I didn't notice that it was a portrait of the spirit that I'd seen until Leah Brown, who is the co-curator at Projects, noticed that the description fit when I was telling her about my experience. And I had made this piece prior to seeing the spirit. So, and I live right next to this forest, so I don't know if this spirit sort of entered my subconscious because I'm in that forest all the time, and I was just moved to create this piece, which I suddenly did one day for no reason. So, I don't know, anyhow. That's her there, and here you can see a little bit about how it looks with the video projection going over the piece. It was really bright green when you were there. It was pretty. And you could stand inside. People could stand inside the hair. It was recently up at an Unleashed art fair. Maybe if somebody was over there, they saw it there, yeah. So here it is again. I was invited to Coral Gables Museum of Art to show this piece. It's a little loud, well. But you can see the water. It was beautiful with the water coming out. I did a video installation inside the nest. And in the courtyard, you can see how the leaves sort of enmesh themselves in the piece. Oh, she looked great, I thought, in my opinion there. I really liked her with the water. Yeah, I was happy. So this is an installation, another forest installation I did for Irreversible magazine at Art Miami. And I work with my sister, who is here. She's in the back. She's a great artist. And another programmer named Istvan Zilagi. He did the interactivity on the piece. So this is my video, Irreversible Forest, inside the forest. And I just want to show you the video about how the interactivity worked. Our names, Istvan Zilagi, he's a programmer, Hungarian programmer, but he lives in Austria. We work together. And he created this. So you entered the site of the camera and became part of the video. And so when these little fireflies fell down, you could, the camera saw your body, and when it touched any part of your body, it would put you into the video. Yeah, it was really, really nice. And that's the hair of the spirit woman going by in the video. I also did a video still series of that video. The video for me was very meaningful and beautiful. This is the actress. She's an incredible folk singer from Slovakia. She collects all original handmade vintage folkware. So she had a huge selection. So you can see some of the beautiful pieces that she has. I was really talking about insecurity in the modern world in this video. So people enter the forest and something happens to their psychology, they become frightened in their own environment, and then next time they enter the forest isn't the same anymore. For them, it can never, like a terrorist attack, if it happened in Nice, say the day before you're fine walking in Nice, the day after you're like walking in a foreign country, and I called it irreversible force because I don't think you return from that insecurity that you get from an experience like that. And here you see also the mask on the actress playing the witch, Queen of the Forest. And also what I love about these video stills is these are all hidden moments in the video. Like when the video plays, you don't see these. These are just completely hidden moments within the video that we form these incredible compositions. The colors are gorgeous. I have brought a couple. They're up above there. You can look at them when the lights turn on. Like here, for instance, that's the woman with the mask, but here she looks like a dog spirit or a wolf spirit or something. So the movement created these amazing moments. And I really like the movement in the piece, the blurriness, I like the discussion between the stillness of the video still and where it's coming from, which is a moving piece. It's a video still. So for me, that is a special piece. So these are some compositions, abstract compositions I took, just gorgeous movements and colors in the forest. This is another video called Centaur Forest. This was a piece I made talking about homosexuality and how people need to learn to, or have learned to become more comfortable with their sexuality. So this is a very freeing video. They're learning to just be free in their forest. He doesn't care anymore about judgment. He just runs through his forest. He's the little centaur, there he is in the green, becoming the centaur. So I was also talking about how people sometimes, I don't know if infantilize is the right word, but think adorable gay guys are just, oh, you're so cute, but really they're passionate, strong people because they put up with so much oppression, and so they really are strong. Their heart is like a horse, and they help everybody by being open. This is another video piece I made. I work a lot with water and light reflection because this takes me into a trance. And when people go into a trance, I consider this to be a form of time travel and dimensional travel because you move back and forth through a state that doesn't exist where you're sitting. So this is a piece called Summer Reverie. I did another piece called Drowning in the Ghosts of the Night Sea. That's with water and light. This was in Venice. Back to the closet. This is with a Centaur Forest video. It was called The Closet. Here, the natural materials have burst out of the closet. The closet cannot stay closed. It's again a piece about being comfortable with your sexuality. It was an interactive piece. You can see me and my sister inside the video there. We have a lot of plants just bursting out. I like to talk about also artificiality versus nature. And so there's real plants hidden within the fake plants in there. And I've done that in a couple different installations just to talk about that. On the back of the piece, the video was playing with some branches. I made some small video installations. These are artifacts of the forest where I filmed the video in Slovakia. The dried mushrooms, the branches are all from there. And then I started making embroidery recently. This is obviously the witch from the video, the centaur, and the background, which it's not a good photo, but it's quite green, are all herbs that I collected in the meadows of Carpathian forests and that area, and I rubbed them on the back to create the green color of the forest with some more artifacts from the actual Carpathian forests. This is another series that I'm doing with medieval spells. I'm very interested in women's shamanic connection to nature and how that has been part of the specific oppression of women throughout time. So this is just talking about different spells that people used in the past, and I use red and black as sort of a nod to medieval history. Another piece, a really simple spell, and this is the mask, my mask, and I just made an embroidery with the hair. This is a piece some people find controversial. I have been invited to several Haitian voodoo ceremonies here in South Florida. Part of the religion is animal sacrifice. I like to talk a little bit about animal sacrifice in that people eat, if you're a meat eater, I mean, you create animal sacrifice for yourself. So that's how I feel about that. Also, it's an exalted part of the religion. All the meat is cooked and eaten afterwards. And here we have the pigs. They're being offered to the spirit, the knife, and the baskets of the blood. But it was a beautiful moment. I have a lot of psychic dreams, and so my dreams, sometimes I get messages in my dreams how to behave, or if something's about to happen, or what I should be doing. Lessons like this come into my dreams. So this piece is called Message from Yemiya. That's an African spirit brought here through the slave trade and around through the African diaspora in the Caribbean. In my dream, I was standing in the ocean, a beautiful, peaceful Florida ocean, very blue. And when I turned behind me, there was just a giant wave about to crash onto my head, but I didn't have time to do anything because it was just cresting. In the dream, I dove under really quickly, and so everything was fine, but it was pretty scary. And then also in the dream, you can see the tiger lady there. That was me, and my face was changing from a tiger to my own face, back and forth really quickly. No idea, it's a dream. So I put the third eye on the tiger, just indicating that it was a psychic dream. This is me in the dream looking back at the wave. I really like the tiger lady, so I made a large one that's about, I don't know, 3 feet. It's over there hanging. And this was the first dream piece that I did. This was called Scorpion Leave This Hand. And in the dream, I was in France and I went into a church and there was some holy water there. So I went to go get a little bit of holy water. I'm superstitious. I was like, okay, holy water, so I'll grab some. But a ton came out. So it was kind of embarrassing. I had a giant handful of holy water, so I just put it all over my body and just left, you know? And then that night, I had this dream where it showed my hand. Someone had cursed my right hand, and then there was a scorpion inside of it, and all the flesh came off, and you could see the scorpion inside my dream. And in the dream, it was clear that this was impeding my progress in life and that I should do something about it. So in the dream, I cast the scorpion from my hand in a very forceful way, and I said, "Scorpion, leave this hand," to all the different directions, and then these weird owls started following me. Anyway, so here's the owls. The owls were freaking me out. They were huge. They were like man-sized owls and following me around. It was a little disturbing. You can see that white one on the bottom, looking creepy. This is how it's going to look. It's a work in progress. I will stain the fabric with grass or something like that, and the rest I'll stitch. This is a piece back to my themes of oppression against women, and again with women's shamanic connection to nature. These are some of the fates that herbal women or medicine women might have come to in the past, or I mean, even now in some places of the world where people who are herbal healers are considered witches and burned or killed or something like this. So we have, and I did it in medieval style too, to talk about that. That's my feeling about that line of thinking. This is the entire series. I had this up in a recent installation. So we see all the different fates the women could have come to. Also, we see the cross. It's burning, showing that you know, Christian religion was responsible for this particular oppression, although it's not alone in any religions or oppressing women. This was that installation is inside that piece. This is called Witch's Rest. This is my most recent large-scale installation. It's up at the projects, or was up at the projects at the time. This ties together a lot of the themes of my work: oppression of women, spirituality and magic, and forests. So this is as if you were sort of walking through the forest in the Carpathian Mountains and you came across this little cabin. Here it is as you go, and you can walk in. Personally, if I saw a cabin in the woods, I would not walk in. I would go the other way, but whatever. People went in this one. You can see all the different artifacts, the herbs. Here's a video installation. There's 2 video installations in the piece. I have pictures of them also. That was a fire pit installation. That's also called Witch's Rest, and it's sort of something bad happens to some people in the forest in that one. So as you enter this piece, you notice that there's no woman in the cabin, but you see herbs, you see the paraphernalia of a herbal healer. And so then you see this disturbing embroidery, and I think you become concerned for the woman who is not there, like where is she? But when you see the embroidery, you kind of realize maybe she's been taken and killed for her beliefs. So this is a piece of just a still picture of it. That's the moving forest video as a window. And then you have a lot of the herbs. I picked them myself in Slovakia. I grow a lot of herbs in Slovakia where I live. And so I brought all those back with me just for this particular installation, actually. And this is the fire pit installation. And so I hope that I was pretty clear as far as my themes, which again, like, I have so many different varieties of work. Sometimes people can't see the theme in my work, but it's all the same, which is, of course, like oppression of women, magic, spirituality, and forests. So, thank you.
I guess because, you know, of your unusual background, could you tell us a little bit more about your life in Slovakia? Because it's not usually a place that, you know, we get to visit. Maybe you can tell us a little bit of background.
Yeah, sure. Actually, you can all visit. We have a place in
Well,
Slovakia. Yeah, I'm there maybe 6 to 8 months a year. My husband over there, Ivan, is Slovak. So we went there together. We lived there in a really small village, maybe 400 people. It's in the Carpathian foothills, backed up against a giant forest that stretches across half the country. And so it's very beautiful. It's like living in the past because people still cut the grass like with a scythe. I mean, not in Bratislava, it's modern, but where I live, it's very remote. And so it's really like living 500 years ago. Everybody has chickens, everybody, like the next door village has like 2 cows and provides milk for all the surrounding villages. It's just fresh. It's an amazing place. I mean, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's really something special. A lot of castles and things like that. And
How did you end up there?
Sorry?
How did you end up there?
My husband. Yeah, he's not from that particular village.
Oh, I meant kind of that village.
Oh,
Did you just choose it?
you know, we stayed in this place. It was an inn and restaurant, and we stayed, and we had such a romantic evening when we stayed there. And then maybe 4 or 5 years later, it came up for sale, and we sort of just randomly bought it at that time, like on a whim. You know, like, you know, it's a beautiful place. We really love it. I mean, we have bees, and we farm all our own vegetables, and so I'm thinking to start an artist residency there, actually, in case anybody wants to talk to me a little bit about that, because it's set up like an inn, so we have 4 or 5 rooms, you know, where people could stay. But Ivan used to run a gourmet restaurant there where we grow all the vegetables, all the meat was local meat, and the menu changed, you know, every weekend, and we were only open for 2 days a week. But we stopped doing that. Now we just live there. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, when in your because Allison's life has been unusual. You ran away from home, or you left home. I don't know if it's ran away.
Yeah. No, I just left home to be free.
At 15,
pretty much. Yeah. Watch out, my mom's here.
Right. And I know your mom, and I know that she's devoted.
I would never run away from my mom. Yeah. I just felt like I just didn't like the atmosphere in the suburbs where I grew up, so I wanted to be more free, so I just sort of left and explored the country on my own when I was 15 to 19.
I have somewhat of a challenging question.
Oh, do you? Rolando.
My name is Rolando, and I'm an artist. I also am an alcoholic and an addict. Since we're going to 2 meetings recently. Obviously, a female white woman. Redundancy there, female and woman. You're working with Black Lives Matter. What kind of fallback, if anything, do you get when you're dealing with issues that are from a removed third-person experience of these issues?
Yeah, of course. The Black Lives Matter, I work with 3 Jamaican artists who are Black, and I follow their lead, I would say, out of respect for their experience, and that's how I sort of get around that issue. A lot of times I go to the Black Lives Matter exhibitions that we organize, and I'm just ghosted. Like, people just don't even talk to me. I mean, I designed that exhibition that is complete, you know, but they just talk to my collective members, which is fine because I get it, you know, and they just go up and talk to them, and that's just something you have to learn how to take a back seat when you are not the person whose oppression is being featured in a particular way.
I'm John McElhatton, and I want to thank you for your excellent presentation. As you know, I love all of your work.
Thank you.
And the thing that I like about it most is the way your thought process is involved in the art. There are people that make beautiful things and all this kind of stuff, but yours is very, very thought-provoking, and because of that, every time I look at it, I can create something new in my own head. But my question to you is, I know a fair number of artists, but I don't know anybody that can articulate their art as well as you do. How do you suppose that came about?
Wow, thank you very much. That's a big compliment. I appreciate it. I'm Irish, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Luck, I guess. Yeah.
But you do have a very strong educational background that would lend itself to what you said.
That's a good point that I hadn't
I can
considered.
tell for you.
Yeah, thank you, Inez. You know.
Bachelor in psychology, and used to have piles like this high of work she was reading, reports, and she has the master in medieval literature. She's, she's fairly articulate.
Thank you, Inez. So nice. Jeez, that's good.
Rather well-rounded.
Yeah.
I would like to know more about that too. Could you talk about your master's degree, and because it's not an art, and how it connects to what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm not art educated. I started as studying research. I was doing neuropsychological research, which I had to abandon because I'm a vegetarian and I didn't want to get into animal testing. So this may be weird for you with animal sacrifice, but just let it go. And then just let it go. And then after I gave that up, I really like being in school, and research is just one of my main loves. I love to research, and so I became like bored and frustrated not being in school. And so I became obsessed with medieval history from a Barbara Tuchman book called A Distant Mirror. I don't know if anybody read it. It's really good. So from there, I just ended up moving to Dublin, where I have a lot of family, not in Dublin, but in Ireland, and I went to Trinity College to study medieval history there. So a lot of my work, as you saw, like the medieval colors, the medieval illustrations, sort of reflecting back to that love of the medieval aesthetic.
Allison, I'm Vicki Siegel. Could you talk to us a little bit about the psychic connection and how you feel that and how that enters your work a little bit?
Like the psychic dreams?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how it happens, but I have a big connection to nature, and I've always sort of been able to harness energy around me in ways that are intentional. The dreams come to me and they can give me different information. Sometimes it's going to tell me the future a little bit and something will come true later, or sometimes it's just giving me a warning, like with the wave, like to be careful in a certain situation, or like with the hand, to be careful, like that was a crazy dream. I don't understand it, so it just comes, when you sleep. Yeah.
You apply it directly to your work.
It's so awesome though in the dreams though, because they're so lucid. You're really in these particular types of dreams are not like the regular dreams. I'm like really awake in these dreams and consciously acting in my dream and sort of noticing and acting and remembering in a way that's different than any other dream. And then so I'm able to sort of remember that information through the night as I travel through other dreams. Within the other dreams, I remember the first dream, because I'm too lazy to get up and write it down like in the middle of the night, because it's just not about that, but no way. So I don't know where it comes from then.
It comes from the Irish side.
Maybe. I'm also Jewish, so there's a lot of Jewish mysticism. That's not true. There's a lot of Jewish mysticism. Yeah. Yeah, you've got that's a very like a powerful sorcery, like a lot of magic happen. Yeah, exactly. And I actually was thinking about that recently, and I was like, people hate Jews so much, and people usually hate somebody with a power, but Jews have been politically powerless for so long, and I'm thinking that it was just from the magic, that they were magically powerful, and that's where this fear came from.
My name is Carla Walter. I'm an artist and I run the art gallery at Columbia State College, and I'm so excited that Allison is going to be at the end of the year in the show using recycled and repurposed materials, and so is Isabel.
Oh, yay.
I'm so happy I get to sit here and listen to you talk about you're brilliant.
Wow, okay.
You're so brilliant. I always just thought, she's so much fun, smart, and she's cute. And
To think I was up for 2 nights paranoid about this.
Well, that's
So I appreciate this. Very nice. Yeah. It's
really know
nice,
yourself
yeah.
well.
Girl.
So anyway, I'm just really looking forward to
Thank
working
you.
with
Yeah,
you
I can't
and,
wait.
Just happy about that.
When is that show going to be?
October to December, beginning of December.
I had a question. Eileen Adams, I'm an artist and work with Rolando and Art Synergy. And The thing that I found really interesting about it is like your concepts are really well thought out, really have a lot of depth to them, and the execution is like really primitive. You know, they're very simple,
Yeah.
and I think that's what
Yeah.
I really love about it is
That's
because
cool.
it's sort of like they just happen. You know, they're not forced, and they're not like, oh, is the stitching perfect, or is this connection on the skull perfect?
Right, right.
But then when you speak about them, they're really so involved and intellectual. And I really like
Oh,
the dichotomy
thanks.
and the concept and the execution.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I consider myself more of a conceptual artist. The making to me is almost not secondary, but not as important as the concept. And I'm just not into details, which is another reason I didn't follow a science career, because really it's all about the details. So, like you say, yeah, I just do it to just get my idea out, make it beautiful, and like hopefully it just won't fall apart. You know what I mean? Like that's how I work. Yeah.
I do have a question. Do you also write poetry?
No, I don't. I used to write a lot, but it took too long. So now I'm doing visual images. I think it's faster.
Faster. Okay.
And also it allows for more interpretation. Like people can read a passage and it can be so deliberate and you're almost like boxing people in as to what you want them to think. But when you have an artwork, people can come to it from so many different angles and they can interpret it in a way that's free. So I like that.
You have the video which complements and brings this more rustic way to present. Do you make your own video?
Yeah, I do my own video. I'm not educated in filmmaking, but I really love video making and video editing. Something about, I mean, the movement in the pieces is incredible, telling the story, having the images, it's so deep and you can do so much with it. I really love video. I just started a couple years ago and I absolutely love video. Yeah, it's nice. It's really fun to make it.
And you're casting it, you've got actors, that you've got people that you're casting in.
Well, they're my
scenarios.
friends mostly, like, yeah,
But
realistically.
But you're directing them
Yeah.
and costuming,
Yeah.
and setting up a scenario.
Yeah, like I set up the concept of the video, then I go through a process of like figuring out what shots I want, how to tell the story I want to tell, or sometimes it's just a long 5-minute exposure of light moving on water. I have a lot of pieces like that where you just stare at it. And then other, like the more narrative pieces are like this, like they're inspired by the people that are in the video. Like the centaur video was inspired by the man that plays the centaur. He's my friend. I just was with him one day and the whole video popped into my head, and an entire giant installation that I haven't been able to get funding to get yet, but maybe one day soon, we'll see, yeah. So, yeah, but so I'm inspired by the people themselves.
Hi, I'm Amy Gross. I love how in your work, the forest is a place where your characters or your people go to actually find themselves and to liberate ourselves. Now, because you live in two different places in the world, you live half a year in America, half a year in Eastern Europe. I find in American popular culture and media culture, the woods are a place to go, where you go to get, you go into the woods, you're lost, you're attacked. You're eaten up by ghosts, by creatures. The Blair Witch, for example,
Right.
seems to be like the American version of the woods, where you go, you know, little girls go off to the woods, they disappear, and then they find their bodies, you know, in true life.
That's right.
But do you find that is that a particularly American way of looking at the woods, or is it also like?
No way. I mean, all the fairy tales are completely that. Yeah. And that's, yeah, they're all like that.
Terrifying.
Yeah, very terrifying. And that's kind of why I used actually the fairy tale vernacular for Irreversible Forest, and that's exactly what I was trying to say. Actually, I'm glad you mentioned it, because these fairy tales always talk about the habitual area that they lived in. Like these little children go into the forest that they went to every day. This is their environment that they were in every day, and then all of a sudden it becomes a fight for survival, which is an odd situation to be in. And that, to me, speaks to like insecurity here, like you have school shootings or terrorism or whatever. And so when you go back to the school or you walk on the street that used to be so safe, it's still your own environment, just like in the fairy tale, but now you're like a stranger in a strange land. But it doesn't turn back to the safe place. Yeah, it doesn't. You can't get back from the forest like that. No, it doesn't.
Your innocence back. It's gone.
Yeah, exactly. Once you lose the, in my opinion, the myth of security, I mean, you're never going to return to a place where you believe in security.
Can you talk a bit about how Artists with Black Lives formed? The
the collective?
Yeah, I started it actually during Art Basel, where it was like that rash of police shootings, and I was just so upset, everyone was so upset about it, and so I just was making a memorial project for the names of people who had been killed, and I was just putting them on pieces of cardboard. It was accessible material, and I went down to Miami Beach and I put them around, just so that they were represented in the art world where they could no longer be. And you get sick of the art world not responding to social situations, or at least I do. And so I was in Art Miami and like Aqua putting my panels up. Mom helped me, actually. We were putting panels up together down on Miami Beach. And then I invited some friends, and they were really into it, my Jamaican friends, and so we worked together since then.
Allison, your work deals very overtly with the feminine. And I wish that were a better known frame of mind, especially now that we've elected the extreme in patriarchy. And I was wondering if you could tell us more about it and what drew you to it, and describe it a little bit more.
That's kind of tough. I think it's just a natural expression of my feelings of anger and against oppression of women. I mean, we all grow up as girls. We all have to put up with so much garbage from boys poking us, and we can't do this and we can't go there, and it's annoying. And then I guess you just amass an anger about it, and then you start to act because of that anger is not comfortable to just sit with. So because of that, you have to go out into the world and start expressing your views about how you want it to change, maybe create an example or just talk about it, because some people don't recognize that it exists, obviously, and some people know it exists but are pretending it doesn't and are angry at you if you say something about it. So a lot of people aren't comfortable with the term feminism, obviously. It catches a lot of flack. So I just, for me, it was a natural expression. I mean, like I said, I left home at 15. I'm very independent. I'm a very rebellious person. And so my need for freedom and how a lot of men tried to put me down during my many experiences informs my work, I guess I would say. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Ellie, and Armory Art Center, too. Yeah. It was a big honor to have you.